What's up, party people, to another episode of Who Asked You podcast. I am your host, Duty Too Groovy, and today this is going to be a very, very, very special episode. All right, we're going to be talking about a lot of topics. We're going to be getting into so much. So, what I'm introducing to everybody is what I like to call melanated Men's Health Association. That's Melanated Men's Health Association. And what that is, well, I actually have some things written down here on my phone that I'm going to be reading to you all about what the organization is about. And then we're going to be talking about, after I break this down, I'm going to have some members come up here, some already established members come up here and expound. And then we're going to get into straight pride and things of that nature. So it's going to be a really dope episode. So let me get started. And so what is the purpose of melanated men's? Oh, actually, you know what? Before I do that, let me actually, okay. Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So the purpose of um, Melanated Men's Health Association is to strengthen the bond between Black men in our community, to curate a sense of fellowship and pride and commitment to bettering the Black household, and to remold the image of the Black man in the eyes of himself, his woman, his child, and his spectators. That is the purpose. Um, who can be involved? Any man 17 and up of African descent can join as a vocal member. A vocal member is defined as a panelist, one who speaks for the community, a sector leader, etc. Melanated women and melanated children, girls and boys 16 and under, can join as a suggestive member. A suggestive member is defined as someone who wants to learn the perspective of Black men and offer their suggestions and input on topics discussed and how those changes will affect them. Other races are welcome to join as silent members. Silent members are meant to listen and learn about the Black experience, and if they'd like to contribute, they spread information about our initiatives and donate to our causes without fanfare. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm about to send the link out to some members and have them come up here and introduce themselves to you all. So give me one moment, please. And while we take this little intermission, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because we will definitely be more active in the future from this channel. So, okay, I have sent out the link, and I will also put the StreamYard link in the chat. So if anybody would like to come up and ask questions how the plan will be implemented, you can. So let me keep reading. Community pot. Unlike churches and other community organizations, we will collect money to aid the community. The money will be used for bill crisis, business startups, newborn support, food crisis, etc. The intent will be to make an account with a Black bank, and any and all money donated, large or small, will be put into that account. In order to benefit from the funds, people would put in an application explaining the situation. And if there isn't enough money, then we as an organization will host events until there is. Once someone utilizes the service, they have to contribute to the pot. Now, let me explain that. What I would like to do is to be able to have kind of a security net for the community. A lot of people have great ideas and no funding. And that stops a lot of progress, because instead of having some type of pot to pull out of, we kind of all stop at the idea place because we can't find any money, and we have to go through these governmental loans, and they pick and choose who they don't want to get the loan and stuff like that. So instead of doing that, us as a community will pull in money. And so anybody who ever needs anything, excuse me, even if they just need groceries for the week, that's what the community pot would be for. And like I said, anybody who benefits from the pot needs to contribute to the pot. And on that note, I have one of the members in the building right now.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Welcome, Raj. Please introduce yourself to the people out there who's watching this or who will be watching this.
My name is Rashad Gomez. Been doing parkour, free running, and movement since like a young age, like maybe 4 or 5 years old. Fitness has been like a large part of my health, and just being able to learn different various parts of movement. Starting off with like yoga and gymnastics and martial arts, like from a very young age, it's like taught me a lot about like discipline, and being able to learn how to maneuver the body in ways that you can discover certain portions of yourself that you really didn't really tap into. So like martial arts has like shown me a lot about like discipline. So I've practiced like Shaolin martial arts. I practiced Jeet Kune Do when I was 7. Wing Chun, grappling. As I got older, judo, keto, karate. Like it was just like a continuous practice. And then when I was 12, I started getting into like various different like movements, and yeah, just from then on, just consistently practice like every year. 13 is when I found parkour. So that was like the portion of my life that really kind of took a turn for the best, because parkour has like shown me how to like overcome obstacles. Like whenever there was an obstacle or a problem that I had to like deal with, parkour was always that like obstacle that helped me engage in life. And yeah, it's like consistently that I've been doing since 12, now 30. So it definitely has. Yeah.
So you're like a master of your craft.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But they even still at like the time frame that I've been doing it, there's always something new to learn. Like you can be doing something like, let's say like fitness, especially like weight, because I used to be heavier. Like it was hard to like move and stuff like that. But one day I was like, I changed my thought process. I was gonna be like why should I feel locked up or immobile in my own body? So even with my weight, I started to move, started to practice. I bought these shoes called Feiyu. It was so serious that I was like, I bought these shoes like every single week. They were like $20, but the soles of the shoe were very thin, so it helped you feel the ground. And through that process, a lot of my friends, we would all go out to like different parks and playgrounds and trees, and we just balance and just work on these games, jump from one tree to the other tree, see how like quick it took you to climb. And this went on like every day, and then the gyms got bigger. First it was like 10, then 20, then 30, then 40, then 50, sometimes 100. The largest gyms, especially like back in 2010, we met a lot of people started like meeting people from outside of the state, because I'm from New York. So like all the boroughs, Florida, Missouri, Ohio, Philly, DC, and we just like kept traveling and meeting different groups. And then like after a while, it just started getting bigger, and then I just consistently kept training. Like it was just like a part of my life, really. met friends who became family, and just learn different experiences, because every like portion of movement that you kind of take for granted is the fact that parkour helps you bring all these things into that one discipline. Like I can pretty much go on a tangent with this, but it's let's say like you're a boxer or like a martial artist. That movement, you bring that into parkour, because parkour is like this art form or practicality that helps you navigate walls. Let's say you have like a little brick, you have to jump from the brick to the ledge, and jump from the
Mhm.
ledge. Yeah, and you just jumping back and forth, learning how to maneuver until it becomes like more creative, you know.
Well, I definitely believe, of course, because there's health in our association, that things
Yeah.
like high energy, high intense type of training and weight loss initiatives, that's very, very important. So, with the Melanated Men's Health Association, what is something that you would like to see pushed, or you feel like you would want to, you know, springboard with?
Um, yeah. Like more like mental health awareness type stuff, because more a lot of people don't like think about like your body, your mind, body, everything. It has to be like in one.
Mhm.
They have to all be working in congruent in order for you to move the best way you possibly move. It's deeper, because once you start like thinking about physical obstacles, then you think about mental obstacles, then you think about spiritual obstacles. What type of things are you holding yourself back? What type of things are you scared of? Because like you can be standing on this rail, it's like 10 feet up, there's a 10-foot drop, and you have to be very like focused and calm. You're just looking, there's nothing, no distractions. You're just waiting for this one moment. And then through that moment, and you feel like you can finally jump, you just kind of leave the rail. And it's so real that a lot of my friends, when you're watching it, you're watching people perform and move and engage in these classes. People are learning, they're teaching each other, they're progressing, because like anyone can use this. I mean, back in my old neighborhood, I'm from New York, so you just get a mixture of different kids and different backgrounds, and black, white, Spanish, everyone. And you just people trying to learn how to maneuver better. Like I've worked at community centers. That shit was cool. Like teaching like kids from 10 up. You know, different people have different ways of movement. Like basketball players have a specific movers. You know, basketball players
Mhm.
have different movers than boxers. You know, so being able to engage your mind, like having a healthy mind to go out into the world, because you think about like all the playgrounds, and that has something a tie into how we work in society. You know, think about so much that you learn in these areas and going through school. If school is not like for everyone, but there's a moment of society that we learn. We're learning. We're picking up certain things. So
Yeah.
if your
So,
obstacles, yeah,
in you're outside of the country,
yeah,
but
well,
maybe something that we could do is kind of like just host some outside classes, some outdoor, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, like
Like
Zoom
kind of
classes.
have
Or,
kids,
yeah,
tune into your lessons and things of that nature to get them used to being back outside, because uh, I do believe, well, lack of sunlight for melanated peoples causes depression
yeah,
because we're not absorbing those photons.
that's true.
Our pineal gland isn't activated. We're not,
Yeah,
So having programs that encourage outside activity, I think it's like highly, highly important. You know.
that's the best way that as a people we're supposed to just be able to grow, because the more you're in the sunlight, the more you're outside, the more you're experiencing certain things, you feel better. You feel like the world is not beating you up, because you start to see the connection between choice too. Because let's say you go
Mhm.
in a forest, and I like to train in forests is because it just connects me to nature. So every time, even as an artist, that sun hits you, you get like basically downloads, if you will, because you're receiving all that energy from the universe, or from the
Right.
stars, or from the planets. You being in a tree, you taking a moment to sit and meditate, to think about life, to think about, oh, why you have these problems. So why why is someone like process through your mind as you're just going through your life. And if
And that's very important. I think that, like, because what I envision for this movement is monthly seminars, monthly conferences where we all come together and speak about, things. And I feel like we need to understand the science behind sun gazing and why being in nature is such a vital thing for us.
yeah,
Because,
yeah,
like, with and I got this information from the guy YP.
okay,
When it comes to sacred geometry, boxes are containment fields for energy. That's why your
absolutely.
house is a box. That's why a prison cell is a box. That's why you gift somebody in a
Yeah,
box.
but
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
outside, it's even though it looks like a wide plane, it's really a globe. It's really a circle, and you have a 360 visual of your surroundings. So you're absorbing
it's true.
more energy, and it's not contained. So being outside and having outside activities is very important. Now, before we keep on going, I have another member in the building. Let me go ahead and add him to the stream. What's up, Kenshawn? How are you today? Can anybody hear me at this point? Okay, it seems like the other members are frozen, so I apologize for that. If y'all can hear me, please click in, click back out, and I will bring you back in. Um, yeah. So they're gonna come back in, but yeah, being out, having outside activities is very important. So that's one of the things that I want us to do. Is discuss how we can have community projects, how we can have community outlets, not only for the children, but just us as a community, period. Because a lot of the older generation, and I'm gonna be honest, when I was a kid, it was more community based a little bit in the sense of neighbors knew each other. But these days, we don't even like talk to our neighbors. I haven't even seen a neighbor put their groceries up before. Like, that's how disconnected we are in our own community. So I feel like us coming together and figuring out days where we could do activities for children, even if it's just like, okay, if you're in a mountainous area, this day we'll go hiking. If you are like, or like, oh, okay, we'll have a community football game, or we'll have a community cookout, or we'll have, you know, um, let the kids chalk chalk draw on the main street, cut the street off of our neighborhood and let the kids draw on the street, like stuff like that. Community cleanup days, all those types of things is what I want us to do, what I want us to figure out, because it's okay to talk about what's bad, and talking is good, having the conversations is good, but at some point you have to put action forth, and you have to put effort into the change. You can't just, talk about what's bad and don't, have solutions. So community-based events are something that we're really going to push. Okay, Kenshawn, please welcome, and please introduce yourself to those who don't know who you are, even though you know me and you are really good peoples. Please introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm transitioning from my mobile to my computer, so I'll be changing my devices real soon. It's an honor to be here. Uh, Mental health is one of the strongest points of me reserving, uh, you know, my life and bad decisions that I made. Uh, I wasn't looking forward to therapy or mental health or looking inward, taking accountability. I would look forward to what what bad boys are looked how is respect looked at in the hood, in the inner city, in the projects. How do I gain respect amongst the peers who ain't going nowhere, much less will end up dead or in jail? And I would look at toxic ways to verify my stance. That's mental health illness. And we at some point in time you need a father, you need an extra mom, even a mom or a father besides your biological one, for guidance. And that's what we are creating here. um, we are old enough now and grown enough now to become direct uh, informants of ways that you can get out of the mental health illness, besides the state therapist or a therapist assigned to you by state.
Right, and that is highly important too, because what a therapist really is somebody who, well, from my experience, hold on one second. Okay, so from my experience, a therapist had really just goes, yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah, yeah, I get it. We need more than that. We need people with our same experience, our same backgrounds, our same understanding of life, so they can kind of curate and remold kind of our negative connotations of circumstances, you know? I
Right.
definitely feel like mental health is very important. It's something that I want our organization, our association to deal with, because you said something profound, that you sought out to find respect from what you've noticed outside. And so we have to, as men, as melanated men, what really is respect to us? We have to redefine what respect is. Are we mistaking fear to from respect? Are we like, do you have to be angry to be respected? Do you have to be a thug to be respected? Do you have to have a certain amount of money to be respected? Like, what constitutes respect? And honestly, it's not up to outside people to define what respect is. It's up to you as a man. You can't let a woman tell you that this is the only way I'm going to respect you. You can't let a child define what you have to be respected. You set that standard. That is your, and even outside, not just on the women and children, but the spectators. They don't tell you, they should not be able to tell you what you can and can't do in order to deserve their respect. No, you set the standard and then they follow suit, or get out of your life. Like, that's what we need to make. That is the standard view that we need to define. you know. Kenshawn, I don't know if you can hear me, but
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear me now?
okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
we're good.
Exactly.
We're good.
Nice.
But
What's up,
yeah.
man?
Yeah, we had that's our job, and that's
Yeah,
one of
so
the main.
I'm on a different device now.
Okay, and
Yeah,
that's
so
one of the main
just
objectives.
for I hope
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the thought process behind like life right now. I mean, because I study psychology as well too. Like, I can pretty much go on about that, but a lot of the psychology field, no one really pays attention to the how people really think about life. Because mental health is really the first point. If you have no mental health, you can't really do anything else. You
Because
know,
it's like, is it my? Okay, because think about this. You can be having a very good day, whatever a good day is to you,
yeah,
and someone's opinion, someone's actions can tear you down, or
Mhm.
somebody can make a comment about you.
Mhm.
And if you don't know, if you don't have enough self knowledge and self love,
Mhm.
you're going to internalize that. So
Mhm.
when people become depressed or have like these insecurities, it needs to be defined. Like, is this really my insecurity, or
Yeah,
have enough people said this about me to make me feel like I don't like it?
right. It's true. Like that self image, what you tell yourself is what you usually become. If you tell yourself good things, you always hear the best things about yourself. If you tell yourself bad things, you're gonna recognize the bad things. So kind of having that distinction between what's good or bad or what's positive or negative
Yeah.
is like the duality. But even when it comes to movement, you can kind of choose what actions are the actions that promote positivity, you know, that
And from
positivity
what,
you want.
yep,
Yeah.
and from what I've been learning and studying, it's not that like reality creates our mental state. It's our mental state creating our reality.
Mhm.
Our this universe, this energy field, this unified field that we live on, it's taking information. Everything is information. Everything is in code. So if you always, let's say you have a girl that you like, right?
Mhm.
But for some reason you've told yourself she doesn't like me.
Mhm.
No matter how much you do, no matter what you say, she's not going to like you because in your reality you have already defined and accepted that she does not want you.
Right.
And
And that
apply that.
it's really as simple as that, like,
Yes.
because it's literally like, oh, why did you had to kind of be very discerning on the self talks. Because a lot of people don't even recognize the self talks. Like, they're just like unconscious with it. That they don't even know that like it takes like an action for you to kind of, all right, where does this even come from? Or yeah, I'm gonna choose to listen to this because this is positive. This helps me. This helps me. Because even the circle of people that you hang out around with, they always say like you're always closest to the people who are your peer group, your friends, like what do your
Right.
friends do, type of things. If your friends are always drawing or your friends are always doing music, any type of thing, you're gonna be around your friends. Like, if your friends are doing something negative, you're gonna do that. If your friends are doing something positive, so it's like having the distinction between which life do you want to like have, because it could really go in any way. Life is really interesting that things happen moment by moment, like in the
Mm-hmm.
flow. Like, let's think about like if you're riding a bike and going down the street, so many things are happening, and you have that option, that choice to be like, all right, I'm gonna hit this turn, I'll move, dodge, yeah,
Yep.
and get out, get
And I,
into the best situation possible to
yes.
like consistently get your life. Yeah.
And not to shamelessly plug, But in my book, Fat Club, 4 Pillars of Self-Improvement, I actually have an example with the bike. And I'm glad you brought that up, because to paraphrase what I said is, when you first learned how to ride a bike, your parent, when you were pedaling without training wheels, your parent would hold on to the back and say, I got you, just keep pedaling. And you wouldn't notice that they let go. And then you're just pedaling and you're going. But the moment you realize, moment your reality goes, oh, there's nobody holding me anymore. Now you fell. Now you're on the ground. So before you even, like, when you were just doing your thing,
it's
and then
funny because when I was actually younger, I actually I was maybe 4. I practiced riding a bike, but it was one of those 3-wheelers, and I would ride around. But it wasn't for years that I wasn't able to think about that whole process. Like, I would always do balances and use a scooter. But one day I got on a bike, I was older, and I was like, oh, I'm too old to have any help, really. I was like maybe 12, 13. My uncle gave me his bike. It was a BMX bike, a beautiful bike. So I would go out, I would ride. I'm like, at first, I would go past a few cars. Like, all right, I can go this far today. All right. So I'll take the bike, put it back inside, take it back out, ride a little bit more. Oh, I can go down the street. All right, cool. So, I get stronger every time. It's a process. You just get stronger. Once you're able to ride around, I was like, oh, I can.
And then you learn tricks. And one day you just gonna feel like, I've been doing this. Like, what you mean? Like, it's second nature, And that's what everything. That's even with public speaking. That's music. That's drawing. That's even speaking up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, all it takes is every day, try a little bit more. Try a little bit more. That self-improvement and that's one thing I want to make sure that we push with this association too, is that take the proper steps. Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I had to kind of check myself, because I always say that my peers are my motivation. And there's just certain people that I look up to that I'm like, this is where I'm trying to go, but in my own way. And I had to remind myself that a lot of these people that I know and associate with and, learn from, they've been doing this for years. I'm 1 year in, and look at the success. Like, we have to, especially as men, we got a lot of pressure to being the best. Like, when we want to do something, the first thing that somebody will tell you is, well, how long is it going to take you to be successful, or have a backup plan? It's never, how can I help you, or encourage so we gotta kind of be
it's like, think about movement and fitness. Things that people are used to, they'll share with you. Like, okay, if you can do push-ups, everybody knows push-ups. It's about awareness type things. For if you can do, let's say you can do push-ups, everyone's doing 10 push-ups, and there's that one person who can do 50. You're like, how do you do that? So there's a thing to connecting with certain people who are on different levels, or higher than you, or more. So it's like, from martial arts perspective, I would always train. A lot of my friends, we will always be good sparring, and then there would be other people I just go outside of my comfort zone. I was like, okay, I can practice this martial art. It's different than what I'm used to, but that allows me to step into the field where I have to be in the learning state. So that is always the portions, like when you're first rock climbing, or when you're first doing something, everything new, it's you just quick pick it up, start to get to know the feeling, how things are flowing, and then
because I've started, before I let Keyshawn go ahead and do his thing, because he got a lot of information. I've just recently, in the past 2 months, started mountain climbing, like not necessarily rock climbing, but doing the paths. And I'm proud that I can do what is it, 2 No, 3 miles now.
3 miles.
1.5 up, 1.5 down. I can do that now. Before, I could barely walk a trail. I ain't gonna cap. So
Yeah.
I'm not hard on
Yeah.
myself. I'm proud
Word.
of like the process. Like it's dope when you really put
That's
your
right.
mind to something and you
It's
don't
true.
let the fact that you haven't done it before or the fact that nobody else around you has done it before.
Right.
Like even this association, a part of me before I just launched it, I was like, who am I to do
Yeah, but
this?
again, that's the
And,
guilt trip you tell yourself.
yeah,
You
and then it
question
went
that.
from that to
You listen to what you're questioning. You're like, hold on, why did I say that? It's because no
exactly.
one else has gotten there before. No one else
That's
has
what we have
gone
to.
to. So
Yes.
that's why when you're training outside, and I get these looks when I'm doing parkour too. I'm like, who is this kid? Why is he doing that? It's because
Mhm.
on the average, most people are just walking by. They pass this wall. They go down the stairs. I'm just like, let me just jump over the stairs. Let me land on this rail. Let me do this. So it's always that thinking of you are the regular person just walking through, and you are the person outside of the box. Like stepping
And
outside the box consistently.
and I encourage all. I encourage all people to hold on, Kenshawn, mute real quick, and then I'm gonna mute. You can come in.
Where
I encourage all people to look at it this way. If not me, then who? Because if it could be done, it would have been done already. So
yeah,
anytime you have a radical thought and a radical idea, I encourage all melanated people to really just check yourself and say, if not me, then who? Because ain't nobody else did it yet. So it
yeah,
has to be me.
right. Because
There's got
you're
to be a
holding
divine
yourself back
message.
from experiences that you really should like. Let's think about like the hero's journey, like all the way back in ancient times. How do you think they had to get to these places? Like, how do you think they had to build the temples? Like, they were climbing, they were doing things, they were studying land, they were getting to know geometry. They were able to build certain things. So there was like, oh, like in order to consistently build more, you have to be stronger, you have to be more thoughtful, you have to eat better, you have to be more wise in these areas, you have to treat people accordingly, you have to respect people, and that becomes like, if you can build something as small as a quarter, then it's just knowing the shapes and the geometry. Then you can build something bigger. It's a whole process. If people listen to music now, think about like how songs are so important that are there in our TV shows, there in our workouts. Everyone just this music is powerful. Like you hear music, you're like, all right, you're feeling motivated. Music is very important. Rhythm is very important. So yeah, just
Facts. Before I go
keep at it.
on to another tangent, go ahead, Ken.
Word, man. Yeah, I had to, bro, 'cause
Can
literally.
you guys hear me?
Yeah, man.
Great.
Sean.
Yeah, man. I think I always say, what are the advantages and the disadvantages that a black melanated male has to look forward to? And we don't have a lot of advantages. Therefore, there's a few things that we must try to upkeep, even
Right.
though we are suppressed and we are pushed and we are prodded with so
Right.
many things going on around us. I was on a
Yeah.
platform the other day, and women, they don't understand that this is Pride Month. It's going to be Father's Day coming up. Why do you have a Pride Month and you're promoting something to little children that they're not old enough to determine?
Even comprehend. Yeah.
Yes, you
It's
messed up with
a
Father's
more
Day.
comprehension thing. Yeah.
And what you do is you're still emasculating men from a mental standpoint, and it goes right back to the manifesto of the gays. The gay manifesto was to break down any male structure. any masculine nature. And so
Right.
for you to be giving men and fathers their thanks a couple of days from now, but it's entrenched in a Pride Month, what respect do you have to a man, much less a black man? So that's the
Right.
hill we got to climb. We got to stay mentally sane through that, right?
Yeah. So, but
Very
even let's think about like how often we follow dates and how we're so caught up in this society because it's a box that we've developed for ourselves too. So let's also look at the accountability for that too, because choosing is me personally. Like if you live your life, that doesn't. I don't care as long as you're not one hurting kids. I have students, I have family, I have friends. Do what you must, but two, I live outside of the whole holidays because what are they? You know, I live on a planet moving at 11,000 miles per hour, spinning around the sun. What am I worrying about? I'm not worrying about that. I have other things to think about, you know. As long so, yeah, keeping your field and your things that you orbit around that you think about in your own perspective, knowing what to get distracted by, knowing what not to get distracted by.
so
You know,
when it comes down to it, on the House, Senate, Congress floor, we need more men to go to state senate and run for congressional floor, get Tea Parties involved, and have bills passed. Because I can tell you, the only you can make change by a revolution and making a change in the street and getting people to sign pamphlets and petitions. What black men need to do is we need to have change made in Congress. In order for that to happen,
not only that, learning how to be more sovereign. You know, that's one thing. Educating yourself about yourself. If you can't go out and do these things, if
see, but the mental illness is you think that Black Lives Matter can do it. That's a mental illness.
And another thing I would like to add to that, Kenshawn, what you're saying is that we could even, as an organization, sponsor somebody that we know that's in school for law and already start helping them build their public presence. You know, like that is something that's tangible that we could do. But because you brought up the pride thing, I would like to kind of take an intermission of us talking, and then because I got this video I want to show, and then Kenshawn, you can take it over and tell me how you feel about what we watch. Is that okay?
All right.
All right, so let's all mute ourselves. So, before I play this video, I'm gonna give a little background on this. This was aired on Nickelodeon, and it made their ratings drop. And what this is a educational song that was featured on Nickelodeon for, I guess, Pride. I don't know. This is my first time watching it. I just saw it and I'm like, okay, we definitely got to talk about this. So this is going to be a very authentic reaction. And y'all, I want y'all to tell me in the comments and later call me after the video and tell me how do you feel. I will put the number that you can call in just a second. So here's the video.
It's Pride, everybody! Every color on the Pride flag is a symbol in the sky. And I'm proud to be me every time that I see that Pride flag waving high. Red means life because living is a gift. Orange means healing and we have to persist in working to heal.
Let me pause this for a second because I don't want to get flagged. But These are colors that are psychologically can be psychologically manipulated
Right.
within us, and they're the colors of the chakras. So what we just saw is the root and the sacral. I'm gonna let it play because I have to keep stopping it so they don't flag us, but I will let you expound as soon as it's over.
The world and healing ourselves. Yellow means sunlight cause you gotta shine bright. Green means nature and we gotta fight to keep our earth a thriving home for life. Doesn't it just fill you with pride, showing who you are on the inside?
Mind you, this is a man. This is a man. This is a biological man.
Yep, I watched the video.
I be true to you. Blue means harmony, working together. Purple means spirit, believing you have the power and strength within yourself to do whatever you dream. Baby blue, pink, and white represent transgender people because every letter in LGBTQ plus is equal. And black and brown represent the queer and trans people of color. Doesn't it just fill you with pride?
First of all, they can't just attach their ideology to our skin tone. But let me continue.
Showing who you are on the inside. With that pride flag up high. True to you. Here we go. Red light, orange, healing, yellow is sunlight. Green, nature, blue, harmony, purple is spirit. Baby blue, pink, white represent transgender people. And black and brown represent.
And why are they appropriating rap in this? Okay.
The queer and trans people of color. We're all in this together. So wave that pride flag, wave high. Go big, be kind, be you. Doesn't it just fill you with pride? Showing who you are on the inside. Never have to hide yourself away. There's a place for you. Doesn't it just fill you with pride? Loving who you are on the inside. Wave that pride flag up high. Be true to you.
See that right there. It's a reason, man. I tell you what. I will keep it clean and about mental health. I think as men, what we need to do is we need to realize that in order for you to be heard in Congress, you have a bisexual man, you have a straight man who's bisexual, who isn't sure what he is. Then you have a trans man who cuts the penis off, and the other trans man who keeps the penis. You have a butch who likes girly girls, and then you have the girly girl. That is 6 individuals before a black woman. Black women, your voice is not even heard until it's the 7th place. That means the black men voice is heard in the 8th place. Our mental health. To find out now, because you just heard it from me, where your position is in terms of making change from passing a bill in Senate or Congress, you have to understand we have a long way to go. We must not focus on disparaging a group of people. We must not focus on tearing down new groups of Me Too movements. What we must focus on is strategies and courses where people could find solutions, whatever their particular trauma, whatever their inner child faculties that they are not able to fight through themselves.
Definitely toxic situations they've been through. We, we at Men's Health Association, we are here and we stand by this. Your youth and yourself is embedded in righteousness, virtue, and justice. And the first thing we do is we get you out into a healthy mental health. All right. And
And
I'll
that's
go
the
in.
thing, though, Kenshawn. Let me tell you this: when I was younger, my mom had a friend, and this was a Caucasian lady. Her dad was a transgender, and I was in the ninth. No, I was in the 8th grade. I had no idea that was even a concept. All I knew was this super tall, manly looking lady was at our house. And that is a certain type of trauma. Seeing your mother twerk is a trauma. Seeing your dad get drunk is a trauma. Like, there are certain things. Eating noodles every night is a trauma. There are certain things that happen in our life, in our community, that we don't even identify as traumatic when it is, because we subconsciously remember these things and react to certain things in certain ways. There is no reason why I, as a black man, should have had a reference point to that video, because that video reminded me of two things: that transgender that was at my house, and I think it's called The Wiggles, which is a TV show. I think it was a Nickelodeon TV show that dressed their characters in that manner. I should not have a reference point for that, because I'm not in that community and I'm not around that type of stuff. So why is that even something that could trigger a memory? So we have to be cautious about,
And this
about
is
that,
why.
because we need to identify what are our common traumas.
And this is why it is good to sit down, have a conversation with someone, go through the professional tactics that make resolution. All right. I spoke a couple of minutes about the inner child. All right. Inner child means you have to literally meditate. It's a structure and some instructions you have to go back by, but it's literally meditating, going back to where you were in your inner child, your most traumatized time, and reliving that time. And not only reliving that time, but forgiving whosoever and yourself in those times, so you can reclaim your true self, your powerful self in that time. Close that book and literally come back to 2021 through meditation, and then close that book. See, as black melanated men in this association, what we're prepared to do is we're prepared to go through the triggers, but we're also prepared to do the work. There is a manosphere that speaks about how we would like women to behave so we could marry them. All right. Most of those men who goes up on those platforms, they go there to vent. Are they coming from a mentally healed place? No, obviously not. Are women coming from a mentally healed place when they speak about dusty trash? I don't want no scrubs. Ain't nothing going on but the rent. So women, are they coming from a good faith place, healed place mentally, as that, from that standpoint? No. So what we have to do is we have to realize that some shit happened to us when we were kids. Meditation. All right. It's called rebirth. 5 stages of awakening. Okay, you have to do the mental work in order for you even to be put yourself in a position to say, I want to be chosen as a woman, or I want to choose a woman as a man, not healed mentally. So that's what we're here to do. And I'm gonna pass the mic back to Stu.
Yeah. By the way, if anybody wants to call in, the number is 313-327-9342. That's 313-327-9342. Or you can click the link in the comment section and you can go ahead and come on in. I want to stress the importance of what Kenshawn is talking about and the fact that okay. One of the biggest problems in our community is the hidden pedophilic aspect of our daily lives. You know, whether it's kids wearing clothes that an adult should wear, whether it's people dancing or being sexual in front of children, whether it's animes where you would think the character. I'm going to bring you right in, Otis, as soon as I get done with this. You don't realize that the character is supposed to be 13 and 14 years old, but they're showing panty shots and old men getting nosebleeds. Like, pedophilia is so like ingrained in our life that we have to kind of like stump it out, you know? And I'm saying this because I'm going to show you, I'm going to see if I can find it on YouTube. But there's this video that I need to show everybody that I feel like is very important, and that will tie into the next topic I want to talk about, which is straight pride. But as I am looking for this video, I want to introduce somebody that's very dope person. His name is, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to let him introduce himself. So I'm going to mute my mic. And Otis, you can go ahead.
Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yes, you good.
All right, cool. All right, so I mean, you can call me Otis. That's cool. That's my, my first name, given name. But my self-given name is on the end there. It says Shusir because I was just going through the Egyptian. I'm just, gonna give the story about how I came with the name. If that's cool. Okay, so I was looking at, the Egyptian deities. I was watching a young Pharaoh video, and he was talking about how, if you resonate with something, then you just resonate with it, right? So with like the Egyptian deities, so I found Shu. It was like the god of wind or the god of air, and or the god of peace. And I've always been, like a peaceful person. And the name Shu also means he who rises up. And it's just funny because before I ever got into any of this stuff, I got a phoenix tattoo on my arm. Phoenix rise from the ashes. So I'm like, it's weird that I resonate with this deity, and I'm kind of already, on that, frequency. But yeah, that's why I have the name Shu on there. And then the seer is just, we're all kind of seers in our own way. So if you really think about it, 'cause the seer is kind of like a prophet, and that's kind of been what this people on this frequency have been doing for the past year or so. It's kind of just been prophesying. So I just put the seer on there. So choose here, Otis, whatever.
Well, I will call you by Shusir, as not only as respect to the ancestors, but respect to the history that you just gave us. So what do you feel, how do you feel about what I just showed you? Because I got something I'm about to show everybody something that's even wilder than that, believe it or not. But kind of tell me what you think about that video and what would you expect out of, Melanated Men's Health Association.
All right. So that video you just showed, the first thing, well, you had mentioned it, before you even finished the video, the chakras. Because it's funny because I have a chakra bracelet on right now, with all the colors on it, and I'm listening to them talk about it. I'm like, bruh, it's so crazy how everything that they release, when I say they, I think we know who we mean, is propaganda. It's like they're literally taking the colors of the chakras, something that's a part of us, and flipping it and giving it to us in a completely different way that has nothing to do with anything natural. It's crazy to me how people don't see it. Like it's I don't know, it's just crazy to me how people don't see it when it's right there in your face, like the propaganda and the agenda that they're trying to push. And then what's even crazier than that to me is that, okay, let's say that they were just doing that and it, cool, whatever, you can do what you want, you're an adult. But like that's on Nickelodeon. Like we know kids watch Nickelodeon. So it's like, bro, how how are y'all not seeing what they're doing? And I also want to point out one more thing that people um for some reason like, they don't get. I've seen it personally too. Like people don't get it. Lil Nas X, when he first came out with Old Town Road, who was he appealing to? Children. He was going to schools and everything. It's like people forgot that. His whole brand was child friendly and geared towards children. And then one day he just flips and he's doing, the bullshit he was doing in the video that everybody was talking about. It's like, how do y'all not see what's going on? It's so obvious that, and I don't know if it's just that I'm more aware of it now, or if it's getting progressively worse. But it's like the whole pushing the pedophilia thing. It's like it's getting worse and worse and worse.
It's not even just like, okay, they have this thing. Okay, I got two things to add on to what you said. For one, there is a science called colorology. I did a lecture on that, included it in a lecture a while ago. And colorology is the study of how different specific colors affect humans' moods and thought patterns. That's why if in every restaurant sign, you're gonna see red and yellow because that color combination stimulates hunger, passion, happiness. So they're always going to use red and yellow together to get you to go eat. Think about, I'm not going to name any names, but you know what I'm talking about. So colorology is used in products, in TV shows, and all that stuff. That's why, like in the school system, you go from all the colors into gray and black because they mostly want you to be working in factories. Colors stimulate. So, of course, they're going to take the colors of the chocolate and throw them on the screen, having a grown man in a dress sing and dance along because you're absorbing. Not only are you absorbing the energy, but your main brain, your conscious mind is focusing on the words. Oh, happiness, accept yourself, da 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 da. But your subconscious is absorbing the colors and how they make you feel, the music and the frequency of the music, and the fact that this character that they have in front of you is an adult and they're telling you wise things. So in your mind, that's going to be a good person when you see them outside. And an adult can, well, not all adults, but like adults like us, we can have discernment with that, but kids won't. And because Nickelodeon and This Is for Kids is symbiotic, you're not going to expect that this is wrong, that I shouldn't be watching this as a child. Like, you're not going to think that. So go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
And that's the part it's like, a child obviously is not going to understand that, right? So it's up to the adult. And here's the thing, right? Even if you don't know, because I didn't even know what you just said about like the colorology and I know that they use logos, you know, in certain ways, but I wasn't aware of that aspect of it. Like the red and yellow, you know, promotes this. You know, I wasn't aware of that. So even if you didn't get that deep, right, as an adult, common sense will tell you if you know, you let's say you have a child, you cut on Nickelodeon, and you see that, you're like, something should click in your head. It seems like, why are they showing this on Nickelodeon of all places? Like, that's the part that I don't get. Like, even if you don't know anything about what, you know, even if you're not vibrating on a certain frequency, I'll put it like that. Something should click. Like, I don't
But
get it. I guess the problem is people
you
don't
see here,
really go ahead.
think about it this way: most parents use the TV as a babysitter. So will they ever walk in and be like, "What is you watching?" Are they
Right.
concerned? You know, like at what point do you, like, because I'm not trying to be funny, but even when TV Guy used to scroll on that certain channel, you could at least see what's about to come on. Like, I don't see how,
Right.
like, you feel me? Like, and I know you can't control what they show on the program, but at least you could have some type of context. And I don't know, man. That's wild.
Yeah, it literally baffles me. Like I literally don't get it. But yeah. And what was your second point or question?
Um, when you hear Melanated Men's Health Association, what would you suggest we do? Would you be interested in being a part of it? And what types of things do you think would, you would like to see us be involved in?
All right.
Everybody just keep your mic muted as the other person speaks. That way we don't overtalk, and that way, it don't be, because
All right. So just from the name, Melanated Men's Health Association. So obviously, what I would, looking at that name, what I would want to see from an association like that is, I mean, it's obvious. It's in the name. I want to know what's healthy for somebody that's melanated and a man, like me. So I actually, I have an African holistic health book. I just haven't read it yet. Um, but I'll say this actually too. Like I'll say I'm probably a baby on this journey because I literally just, I guess you say, started walking this path um, last last year. Like that's when it started last year. Probably for a lot of people, it started last year. Um, so I'm still learning a lot of stuff, but yeah, like I would definitely be interested in being a part of it because I mean, who wouldn't want to be a healthy black man, right? So
I I appreciate that answer, and let me kind of expound on the elements of health, especially in the title. When I say health, most people think like exercise, good food, drink water, but that's just the the platform of health. When I say health, I mean the fact that, like, you just learned what colorology is. So now, if you're interested in knowing that, at minimum, you can, when you're watching TV or you tell somebody or you see something, you're like, I remember that. Or there is a tunnel for you to dig deeper. So that's health
right,
to me.
right,
Bridging, not only
Yeah.
bridging the image and the conflict between our family, which is our women and children, but also building our mentality, building our knowledge, building our repertoire of, things we talk about. Because the lowest vibrational men talk about sports. Oh, I wish I could say the P word. Sports, females, and weed and alcohol. Outside of that, they're not talking about anything.
Right. It's kind of like,
And
excuse me, I'm
that's
sorry,
not
not to like,
healthy.
yeah, it's kind of like how we were
Yep, I'm
saying
about to move
before,
myself.
like, yeah, my bad, bro. Like how we were saying before, how like it's a box, another box that you have to think about. All of, like, let's say like you think about a city and how the cities are based in these coordinates. Cities will show you the thought process of everyone in the city. Especially like, let's say like for me, I used to bike Uber, and I love like riding around the city, getting around. And every neighborhood has a different thought process. Higher vibration people here, wealthy people here, lower vibration people. You start to notice the different like boxes that people label themselves or put themselves in, because they discuss so much of these ideas that usually people who go to the museum resonate with people who go to the museum. People who go to like basketball games, it's just gonna like, because you speak the language. It's harder to speak with someone who speaks Spanish than someone who speaks Japanese, because not only do they have different thought process in the language, the characters are different. So the thought process are always going to be kind of like, not mesh. They don't mesh as well. So once you step outside of that box, it's like you got another field to play in.
And I want to say this. I want to say this too. To add that, it's dope that you say that, like, you can tell let's just say the frequency of the environment by the way the people act and what they talk about, right? Think about it this way too. I don't I don't like wearing clothes with pictures on them and big logos on them, because logos are nothing but sigils, and it's tagging you to an ideology, to a concept, to a company, to a thought process. So when you see Nike, you don't think sweatshops, you think Hooper. You think he has a lot of money because he can afford name brand. You're not thinking about the children working in the factories and the fact that the shoe probably costs $4.50 to make,
People,
but you're
yeah.
spending $300.
So let's say like, let's think about like brands, for instance. I don't know. Let's say this, for instance. Whenever like you see like a bottle or like some type of water or brand, you automatically think about the first thing that comes to mind. So they do this, and when they're doing like, this is like a selective program. When you go into the stores and you see Gatorade, you see the final product, but you don't see all the things that got up into that moment. It's just like when you see people at their like phenomenal singers or fun actresses, or just like, let's say Michael Jackson, for instance. You always see his best. You don't see the thought process or the things that he had to study in order to get behind it, because people also view things inside of boxes. So there's just like different perspectives. So knowing that, like, especially with Nike, knowing the background behind Nike and why first the name Nike in itself, you think it was a Greek god. So there was a Spartan warrior who was lost in war, and he was trying to use the language to get back to the Greeks, to tell them that the Spartans were basically, like they were finished. So he ran all these miles, all these different miles, and then at the end of his I guess his journey, his saga, he screamed Nike, because that was the name of it. No one knows this. Everyone takes everything from face value. It's like
And the
behind.
swoosh is Saturn's ring. It's
Yeah.
not a check mark like they try to.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's very like, especially when I was younger, I knew a lot of this because we had these classes where you get to design your sneakers. So a lot of my friends would be like, "Oh, you can draw? Yeah, cool. Have me do this." So they would take the printout of the sneakers and they would draw the little characters. Let's say if it was a Jordan, I would take the Jordan, I would put it on the table, and I would draw it. So a lot of the teachers who really took a liking to me, they would just teach me about everything that it took for them to make the sneakers. Most sneakerheads know it because they know about like how the hard work. So you think about like the printout of a sneaker, usually it takes like $4 or like maybe 30. Back in the day, like $2 to make. And then they just mark it up the value because you don't associate the value with how long it took. You should. That should be the automatic process, but you associate value with the brand because usually the brand is the swoosh is like what I was watching a Gary Vee video. He said like $3 trillion or some absurd number like that is because of the swoosh and these names that are associated with, so that carries on. Whenever you hear this, it's a trigger point. So this is why you have to get outside of the box of these large brands and corporations.
And we have to think about the fact that there in psychology, there is a such thing as like, for lack of better term, huh?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like if a celebrity say it, then it must be true. If I had on a pair of Skechers, you're probably gonna blaze me, right? And I could say, no, but when I wear this shoe, it's so comfortable and I can like hit my 3-pointer and you're going to be like, whatever. If LeBron start wearing Skechers right now, y'all would be getting Skechers. And there's no, you're not going to be buying Skechers, bro. I'm about to mute.
So serious. Like,
there's something else that we need to realize about brands. I mean, just look at the word brand itself, right? If I'm not mistaken, we were all branded as slaves at one point, right? So now, literally, we're branding ourselves with brands. And we're showing people exactly how we think with the brands that we wear. In a way, that's how we can look at brands now. It's the same concept, same name and everything, really. They just switched it from, I guess, a brand where you get burnt to, hey, we know if you got these $300 Nikes on, what your mindset is. And we know what we can show you and tell you to manipulate you in a certain way.
Samurai looks like a samurai. Obviously, looks like a martial artist.
Right, and that's not the case all the time, obviously.
No,
but in most cases, if you but in most cases, you can get a pretty good idea about somebody based on what they care about as far as brands go, because it's literally just the same thing pretty much. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, word out. Like just to like add on to that, like that's good that you touched on that because whenever you consider certain things in the process, language has like so much validity that people just don't really understand. Like when you say the words, not only do you see it in your mind, you see the action of it. Like as an artist, I always think about calligraphy and drawing because that's something how when I talk and I think, that's how I think. It's very like there's a flow. But then when you put language on, you put words are like spells. You think about like the Brothers Grimm and how those stories and Alice in Wonderland, what have you. When you think about this thought process, these are like basically your spelling, this is so when you see these big brands like Jordan, now of course you may love them, but to not have the knowledge behind them and why you wear them is very important because that tells you the distinction of, oh, hold on, why aren't there other ideas? Like there's so many other like Black business owners who have a different like dynamic. There's martial artists, there's photographers who have their own like style of how they're doing things. Especially me, like I follow like a lot of anime people, so I know about different perspectives of how these things work. So there's always a different avenue for you. You just kind of have to be willing to take the time to look back and be like, okay, this is the landscape for Black people, and this is what we've accomplished and what we've learned. What do you want to put into the type of person you want to be? Because that's ultimately what it is. Like once you step outside of the brand, once you step outside of the stuff, you want to be independent. Just think about that, you know. So. Hello.
The one that we usually drink. Yeah, sorry about that. Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Yeah, no worries, bro. But yeah, let me guess continue
Yeah,
on that.
Oh,
okay.
Ken Sean, what do you think about what we've been talking about? Because I haven't heard you in a while. I would like to hear, your opinion.
Well, I think that's great. Views that we need to be diverse, because it rolls around to there's a bigger picture, and then there's a smaller picture, the macro, and the minor. And so I think as men, I would, I spoke about the mental health, the challenges of reaching the trauma, the ways you can reach it, if not by a state therapist. I'll go into the little health, meaning diet now. Um, I'll go to how the ladies function, all right, because the women are more subconscious, more intuitive, more emotional. This is by reticular system. This isn't a They want to be equal, but by reticular system they are not equal. They are powerful in another way that they choose not to tap into. So let's go into parasitology, all right, and let's go into cravings. Why do cravings come? This is all a part of mental health, not being able to control your emotions, right? So we talk about taking in too much food, but how does it get to that point? You need a craving. So how does a craving come? It
Yeah,
comes from
just like
not controlling
so.
emotion.
Not to like, yeah. I just want to add on what you're saying, like the cravings. I drew an image of like, yeah, like how the brain looks and how the schematic with the body would be to think about these things. Because I'm very like visual or kinesthetic. I like to see things before I get into like the whole thought process. But when you notice how certain foods have an effect on your thought process. So let's say you eat like a lot of fruits and vegetables, that's gonna break down in your body. So whenever you smell that, whenever you think about it, that's gonna be the trigger point. And let's say you get mangoes. Mangoes are always gonna be the trigger point. So your health, your gut health, if you think about how your organs are affecting your whole body, if your organs are healthy, then you're more likely to have stronger muscles, bones, because you're able to filter these things. You have more amino acids, your proteins are higher, so you're able to affect on these molecular levels. And this is like digestion. So when we're hungry, we need to eat. Sometimes it's not even because you're hungry, it's because you're thirsty, don't have enough water, like sodium balance, and these things affect your mentality. So let's go into like poverty, like why people have the mental health that are so high in poverty is because they think that they don't have access to these things, but because society has told you, oh, as a capitalist, you have to fight to survive. You need these little monies in order to make yourself happy, opposed to like if you just went to the grocery store and they were just growing these things, you just take it off and just go out the store. That would, one, your health would be higher. You're not survival mode. You're not depressed because you don't have the access to the foods. Really, these things like anxiety, depression, they have a thought process first. Your body's telling you certain things. It sends signals, and you're like, why is this? Why am I afraid? Usually, people ignore that because they're a little more, they don't think and reflect on these things, especially because of the pandemic now that has really forced people to kind of be more introspective. And like it just depends on how the thought process comes to you, so.
Okay,
That's right.
I like
And I
that.
just want to finish off what I was saying, and I thank you very much, brother, um, for expounding on that. And I think when we talk about cravings. There first has to be a thought process that you chose. Once again, angels cannot choose. Angels are designed, and so we have willpower. Willpower gives you choice. So you make a choice to, and what made you made that choice to be in a anxiety or you know, a suppressive, or you feel depressed, or you feel in a lower vibration, where whatever you went through, you could have controlled how you took it, but you weren't able to control how you took it. So now you need something fake or natural to compensate the lack of your esteem being up. And so now we get down the rabbit hole of you needing parasitology now, because now your cravings has led you to eating things that replace, which would have been natural body fluids or natural insulin, which knows how to replace normal sugar, and which knows how to replace chromium and vanadium that you naturally need. Now you go and put out unnatural foods. Now you're in a dangerous position because the cravings are replaced in your stomach by parasites. Parasites are telling you you need a Snickers, you need a O. Henry, you need
Right. And
a
that's why they like coconut water and
Hold
stuff like that to clear out
hold
this.
on, y'all.
Yeah.
Hold on. This we
Hungry?
going into a
Have a Snickers.
whole.
Yeah, we about to go off.
Let,
My bad.
let's do this. Because we're almost at the hour and 30-minute mark anyway, and I don't want the people to feel. You know what I'm saying? We done said a lot. So this is what we can do. I want every Friday to be Melanated Men's Health Association Day. So what we will do is we will have these panels every Friday, and we can get this ball rolling. And eventually, what I want to do is have a monthly in-person conference seminar doing what we're doing online. So what I will do is next week our topic will be literally health in as far as eating. We will talk about eating habits. We will talk about chemicals. We will talk about how food affects your psychology. So everybody who's up here right now, everybody who's in the comment section, it's time to do some research because next week we will talk about that. And actually, that is very pivotal because I am actually writing a chemistry book based off of food right now. That's my next book that I'm going to be putting out called Fat Club Corner Store Chemistry. So be on the lookout for that in October, and we will kind of talk about that. And maybe I'll read a little excerpt of it to pop off our discussion. I want to thank each and every one of the panelists who came up here. Kenshawn, Raj, Shusir, thank you so much, and please be here next time. All of y'all had dope perspectives. I want to shout out the people in the comment section. Matt was one of the first people in here. That's my bro. Peace to you, Bag of Snacks podcast. Thank you for watching and checking this out. I'm glad that you're listening and learning, yo, because you need to come back and hopefully one time you can come up here and spit some knowledge too. I want to shout out Generation X Radio Conversation and Podcast Network. Super dope. That's the OG right there. Shout out Dweebies. Shout out Inner Truths. Shout out Queen Too Natural. Before we leave, I want to say, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel because we going in every week. I'm telling you, it's just going to get better and better. If you want to follow me on Instagram at @the_real_studio2groovy. If you want to join the group, there is a chat already. So just DM me on our on Instagram, and this is for men and women. Go ahead and add yourself to the group. What else I want to say? Fat Club, my book, Fat Club, 4 Pillars of Self-Improvement. You can get that on my website, Astro Aromatics, or you can get it on Amazon as well. Tomorrow, I will be doing a Juneteenth event in Utah. So I will probably live stream that from Instagram or whatever. It was a last minute thing. Otherwise, I would have been talking about it and promoting it. But I will be there and I will be teaching and reading and doing all that kind of stuff. So it'll be really dope. Please tune in because I'm going to try to go live on YouTube from there. So Before we end this, my guest, and hold on, let me get him back up here. I would like you all to tell people what you're into right now, where they can find you, and all that good stuff before we head out of here. And I'm going to mute.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you very much. I am going to have I'm gonna have a word with few of my people in the manosphere, uh, because I think one thing is certain: we're straightening out all the other areas. But what we're definitely gonna need is we're gonna need the voices. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh
No,
yeah,
sorry. Go
definitely.
ahead. I had a phone
Uh,
call.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
so
me or
what I'm gonna speak to a one or two of my people. What's gonna happen is the manosphere is looking for mental health as well, because like I said earlier, there's a bunch of young men coming up on these podcasts because they think it's red pill and they're venting. Are they coming from a place of good faith? That is in the question. That is where we come in. So if the leaders of these podcasts can come over and give us a perspective of the men they're hearing, because these men complain of the attitude of the women, obviously. That's what the red pill is all about. So we need to, as men, um, build men first. And then I think once the structure is seen from a far away, from so far away, that you have no other choice to follow the lead.
Mind you, before the next person speaks, food, and this is why we're going to be talking about this next week. The food that you consume has a lot to do with your mentality. Okay. It has a lot to do with your mood regulation. It has a lot to do with how your body feels on a day to day. So we will definitely be getting into that.
Hey, Ali.
yeah, like word. Like whenever I just want to kind of like, and I'm not sure if we're ending like now, but whenever you think about like how you feel after you've eaten, let's say like you eat McDonald's versus eating an acai bowl. Eating McDonald's is gonna make you feel all those foods because your body's literally processing that information. It's kind of like when you think about something, when you're reading a book, you're processing that information, you're digesting that. That's why they say like listen to the words you tell yourself while you think or eat, because you're really downloading the food. So like versus an acai bowl, you get all that energy. So you know, you're feeling like oh yeah, like everything is really a plant replenished because you know you feel healthier. So yeah, try to eat healthy and be aware of that. You just like yeah, it's a whole different process of you starting to become like aware of what you're actually doing. But then it shows you like, oh, these are the things that are bad. These are the things that are good. I can improve on the things that are good and develop a newer cycle that you stepped outside of the box. So yeah.
All right, Shusi, any more closing words before we head out?
I mean, other than I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Like I said before, I'm pretty new on this journey, so if I say something that seems weird or out of the way, you know, I'm not above, definitely not above being corrected. That's for sure. Um, and I will definitely be here next week. I'll say that. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty much here just to learn and give my perspective. And like I said, I appreciate this. I appreciate this podcast, and everybody who's up here. Like I'm for me, any opportunity to learn from people is a great opportunity. So I I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, like it definitely.
Respect. Yeah, I respect and love that so much. So, what I'm gonna have you guys do now is just go ahead and drop off, and I'll say some closing words, and we gonna get it in next week. I can't wait. So
Yes,
I appreciate
sir.
y'all coming up here with y'all energy and all that.
Yeah,
And
man. Fuck.
yeah,
That's cool. That
Kings.
was mad cool. I was like,
Hey,
wow, man. Good
yeah.
experience, yo.
All right,
You learn
guys.
so
You guys
much,
take
man.
care.
Yo,
Thank you,
peace out,
everyone, for
man.
joining us.
Thanks, man.
Next
Thanks.
Friday,
Really.
same time and same
Yeah, and
place.
everybody have a good,
Take
safe
care.
weekend.
Word. Enjoy your weekend. Be the best you
Peace,
can
peace.
possibly be.
Peace, peace. So there y'all have it. The introduction to the Melanated Men's Health Association. Any and all people can join. Once again, before I end this, let me read off the purpose and let me read off, you know, what I read earlier. Our purpose: to strengthen the bond between Black men in our community, to curate a sense of fellowship and pride and commitment to bettering the Black household, to remold the image of the Black man in the eyes of himself, his woman, his child, and his spectators. Who can be involved? Any man 17 and up of African descent can join as a vocal member. A vocal member is defined as a panelist, one who speaks for their community, a sector leader, etc. Melanated women and melanated children, girls and boys 16 and under, can join as a suggestive member. A suggestive member is defined as someone who wants to learn the perspective of Black men and offer their suggestions and input on topics discussed and how those changes will affect them. Other races are welcome to join as a silent member. Silent members are meant to listen and learn about the Black experience, and if they'd like to contribute, they spread information about our initiatives and donate to our causes without fanfare. So, with that, I want to bid you all adieu. I'm going to leave this with love and light, like always. Peace.